Okay, so let's start. First of all, welcome to this session. Beginning the Edge, the advice I wish I've been given. My name is Ignacio Gonzales. People call me Nacho. I'm from Argentina, but I'm currently living in Abu Dhabi. I'm a senior VMware architect. I am a part of the vExperts. I was approved in 2021. I have a few VMware certifications, and I also like photography. Here on this QR code, you have my social media links. If you want to follow me or engage with me, that would be okay. And before we start, I have a few disclaimers. First of all, this session is focused for people starting their IT journey, not for people that have experience. So some things you might find obvious. The second thing, this is mainly focusing in my experience working in large organizations, small organizations, and by mistakes I made and hit my head on the wall. So people may not do the same mistakes. And the third thing is this is not current related to my current employee at all, current employer, sorry, at all. So this is just on my own, and all the opinions are my own. Okay, so first of all, let's begin speaking about getting your first job in IT. Whether you have studied something related to technology or not, maybe you come from a different background, getting your first job can be difficult. This is a really good moment for the IT industry because the job market is super um, revolution. But the thing is, the getting your first job, even if you don't have experience, can be difficult. And here are a few things that helped me get my first job. So one thing before we proceed, if you have any questions or something you can add, you can type it on the chat. Also, we'll have a space for question at the end. So proceeding, some things that helped me get my first job and helped me through the years. English. For people that are native speakers, will find this obvious, but for me, coming from Argentina and people that don't speak English natively, um, it's a super useful tool. I mean, English is the mother tongue of the internet. It's the second language for most of the people, and most of the documents, KB articles, um, procedures, forums on the internet are in English. There's an old saying that it's getting old that says that when documentation is available in other languages, it's old. It's not 100% accurate, but it's accurate enough. And the other thing is, if you're not an English speaker, you might get it difficult to get better jobs. If you are fluent in English, you will get better jobs. Um, Regarding your resume, this is the second topic. When you get you get out of college or high school and you try to get a job, most likely your resume will be empty. I don't have work experience. These are my attitude, and it's okay because you work to get experience also. Um, but these are a few tips for people that are starting that help me through the years. First of all, the recruiters, when you don't have experience, will focus on your soft skills, what are called your soft skills. So basically, try to have on your resume activities that denote team building skills or leadership skills, such as team sports, some clubs, maybe like debate club, multimedia club, or for example, I was on scouts when I was young, so that helped me to land my first job. Also, any volunteering activities are well perceived, the same as any entrepreneurship activities. And for last, any academic awards or recognition you have, maybe perfect attendance, maybe academic excellence or whatever. And as of the don'ts, things you should not do on your resume, don't lie on your resume. Uh, People don't like having been lied on the resume, and that's obvious sometimes. Most of the time, we have people that um, we all have Excel, advanced Office, Microsoft Office skills, and most of the times we don't know how to do a VLOOKUP or something like that, and it's a pretty common lie. Also, activities that can denote a political connotation. My home country, Argentina, it's divided by political views. I think it happens in most of the countries. So that's not that's something it should go in your resume. Something like I'm a militant for this party or that other party. And one last thing is activities related to nightlife. It might sound obvious, but 2 weeks ago, a friend approached to me and said, "Can you review my resume?" And one of the things he had, like one of the most important point is, "I'm the owner of this nightclub." And it's work experience, yes, but from a recruiter's perspective, this is someone I cannot trust to work late maybe, or to come up early maybe, or if I need them outside work. So that's something I would avoid to have in my resume. Now, working in IT. I love working in IT, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it can be ungrateful. It can be tough sometimes or stressful. And some other times it's amazing because you can change people's lives, and you are on an office. You're not on the sun. I mean, I live in Abu Dhabi. I have friends that work in the desert, in the middle of the sun. I work in an office with air conditioning. So it has its really good advantages. But back to my point, it's sometimes it's ungrateful. When things are going well, nobody remembers your name. Nobody remembers your team. But if things start going bad, everybody will remember your team, and you will be on the focus of everybody. So a few things that helped me through the years, and someone might think of this as some of the ideal best practices, and it's true. I work in really big organizations, so some of these things come from the ideal best practices. Some of the things that helped me, I will tell you in the following slides. The first one is the customer theory, and it's really easy. Someone will always be your client, or your customer, even it's an internal team or an external team, and you will always be someone customer, whether it is another team or a vendor or an extra. Yeah. So basically, what this means is treat others as your customers. Have a good customer relationship. And my point here is, for example, if you have if you don't have internet, your internet provider cut the service for a day because they're having an outage. Picture how would you feel if you don't have any communication, any notification, and you need to get work done. Or the same if lights goes down or your mobile network goes down. How would you like to be treated as a customer? And treat your customers as that. And of course, expect your customers to treat you like that. Next thing is the communication. And communication, as Yoda says here, communication is the key. So it doesn't go only with the customers on other teams. It also goes with your coworkers and your manager. I mean, this might sound obvious, but sometimes it's forgotten. With your coworkers and other teams, let them know what you're working on and set clear expectations. I might not be able to deliver this in such time because I have this other priority. This is super obvious, but communicate every change or activity that can cause an impact. I cannot tell you the amount of times I was called because of something was down, and the issue was someone else did an unauthorized change, didn't send any notification, and we lost a huge amount of time tracking what had been done. So ideally, be a good person, be a good team coworker, and communicate the things you're doing to your team. Also, speak your mind. If you see that something is going wrong, something is going to fail, or might cause an issue, say it. Of course, keeping your manners, your politeness, you're in a work environment. And this is something that might sound super obvious, and the agile mindset of the companies is trying to delete it. But when you have a big shift of culture, like I coming from the West, I came here to Abu Dhabi, you need to formalize every communication. Everything you do, if everything you agree, just formalize it. Okay, with your coworkers and your manager. Also, I have the theory that if your manager knows what you're doing, he's aware of what you're doing good. If your coworkers also know what you're doing good, you're excellent. As of your manager, let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I was in a not so good relationship with my manager at the time. Every time he came to me, it was to nag me about something that was not working, even on the team, not on my fault, or because he needed something urgent. And every time I went to him, is what it was because I needed uh, to get time off, I needed to get a pay raise, or I was so flooded of work that I needed to a break. You know, so that relationship was not flowing. But the thing is, we didn't talk enough. We talked like every 2 months maybe. After I left the job for because I got something better, um, I decided to take a shift on that and communicate regularly with my manager. So to ask them feedback regularly, once a month, twice a month, once every 2 months. So I can improve the things I was doing bad before my manager came and told me you're doing this bad, and I was in a risk of, I don't know, getting fired or getting a bad review or whatever. Also, to get feedback on what I'm doing good, because it's always good that somebody tells you you're doing this good, keep it going. Also, to know what is his view for the team, what are your personal um, expectations, if you want some training or whatever. So keep the good flow in the communication with your boss. And the last thing is, if you're going to speak with your manager and you're going to go with a problem, this is not working, try to go with a solution. Try to propose a solution. That's the most difficult part. But that way you will not be pointing a finger. You will go with a proper solution for that. As of communications in general, don't assume nothing. If you are assuming something, you're making a mistake, because maybe something is not that way and you're assuming that. Also, to learn to provide and receive feedback, constructive feedback, right? Maybe you're not doing this well, but you can do it this way. This is super important. Some people don't know how to provide feedback. They want you to improve, to get better, but they don't know how to use the right words. That's super important. And once again, formalize every communication. Another thing that helped me through years is to learn to prioritize. Here we have the Eisenhower matrix, which basically has 4 fields: urgent, not urgent, important, and not important. So it categorizes the important and urgent things that to things that need to be done now. For example, a P1 issue, a change, a critical vulnerability, uh, whatever. Things that are important but not urgent, for example, a customer meeting, can be scheduled. I mean, you can set a date or a deadline to it. Also, the things that are urgent but important, you can delegate them. Maybe some other member of your team, maybe some other team. And the not urgent and not important things that consume your time, you don't need to do it. And what I like to do with those tasks is automate them. Automate them once, never do it any time again. Another important thing to do is to understand the organization. And with this, I mean, is we have two main factors. The first one is how the organization makes the money. Because, for example, a bank does not make money the same way a oil company or a managed service provider. And also how IT and your team add value to that core business of the company. So I have prepared a few examples of this on companies I worked before, or types of company I worked before. For example, a bank, um, we know it does not only store your money, it does a lot more things. And the main how IT adds value to the core business is it used to be with the mainframes, right? Keeping up the systems to the mainframes and the core banking. For the oil company, I mean, they extract the oil. Some others have sorry, I lost the word. Someone refine the oil, someone sell the oil, but the important thing for IT there is to keep the SCADA systems up and running efficiently, right? And this should be a managed service provider. And how does IT add value there is the people, right? Having the people trained, certified, having good professionals that add a value to the company, and people would like to have business with this managed service provider because they can provide good value. Also, regarding adding value, let's get back to adding value. The thing is, how can you add value, right? Let me give you an example. How does my team add value to an organization? When I was working on one of my previous organizations, the process of requesting a server, a virtual machine, and most of the examples I will give are related to VMware because that's my field of expertise. The process of requesting a virtual machine from the request to going to prod took 1 month. So it was quite a long time. Okay. So it was not selling the team right. So then next comes the next question. How do I add value to the team, right? So then I went to the to my manager with a business proposal. We said, okay, we need to automate this. We got the right tools, and what we accomplished was coming from 1 month to 2 days. In 3 months, we went to the provisioning term from 1 month to 2 days, and 2 days because there was approvals in place that were not automated, so it could take like 20 minutes, right? The last part of it is what happens if my team is not there, and it can mean not that you're fired, something like that, more like what happens if we're on an outing and there's an outage and nobody's available, or something like that. What can my team be? It's present. It's indispensable to the organization. That's my point here. Um, that's some things I would like to ask myself and answer on how do I, me and my team, add value to the organization. Sorry for my English. I'm a little bit nervous. So on how you can add value to your team and therefore to your organization, there's a few things I like to do. First of all, is be proactive. Be proactive is like really wide. We will take it here from think ahead of the issue. This is kind of related to the SRE mindset. So a couple of things I like to do here is if you think something is going to fail, something can be improved, something can be better, just say it and try to drive it. Not just point it, as I said before, just pointing, come to a plan, and come to a solution and own it, right? Next thing is document, document, document. Documenting stuff is like the boring part of the work. Me as a technical guy, I love making the clicks and typing commands. But the thing is, one of the better way to add value to your team is like having everything documented, whether it is processes, internal processes, um, run books, whatever, it should be documented. Because why? Because if you work in a multi-zone or multicultural team, when you have a team in Buenos Aires, one in Houston, and one in Bangladesh, the only way that the knowledge is available to everybody, it's in a document, so you can point the others. And also because if you're not there in the company, because as I said before, the market is super volatile. I changed jobs 4 times in 4 years. Super volatile. So if you're not there, the documents are still there, and people will really appreciate that. If you see something wrong, once again, say something's wrong, but don't just point it, just own it. Try to come to a plan and deliver a solution for that. And automate toil. I mean, if you attend to tech conferences or just see webinars, everybody's speaking about automation, but it's true. Automation can save you a lot of tickets, a lot of manual work, boring work. I mean, the work that is automatic is the boring one, the one that consumes your time and has you like, oh, I want to do this, but it's okay. Now let's get to personal development. I mean, some people are not into developing themselves. It just happens. I think you should always be developing yourself in your career. So first thing, I wanted to tell you a story. On 2018, I was working on a company and a consultancy firm that had a project that involved getting us to the latest level of certification in VMware NSX B at the time. We finished that project in November 2018, maybe. So in 2019, January 2019, uh, VMware released NSX-T. And by 2020, I was no longer in the company. They announced the end of life for 2000 for NSX-B, which is the one I was certified, and they announced the that NSX-B was going end of life. They were gonna focus on NSX-T. So all the effort, time training, time studying, all the labs I did was virtually going to be replaced, right? So my point here is we need to keep up with the latest trend in technology. You should always be studying, learning. I mean, some people don't like to study, and it's okay. I personally prefer play video games or something like that, but it's something you need to do. Allocate at least 1 hour a week to read a blog, read a post, do a home lab. Also ask for training. Most companies have training budget. Not all have, but some companies have. And if you can include that in your negotiations when you're getting the job, it's a good thing to do. Also, one personal advice that I can give you, this is super personal, is that if you take a training, whatever it is, try to certify it. Always, if it's within your economical possibilities, uh, do labs or codas, do exercises, or try new technologies. I mean, with virtualization, you can spin a Linux inside a Windows machine or whatever. Um, you can try almost every technology within your computer, and if not, you can have free resources such as hands-on labs. Amazon free has a free tier, the same as Azure and Google Cloud. There's lots of free resources to train and keep you developing yourself every time. One other personal advice that helped me through the years is to try to get involved in as many incident and heavy incidents as you possibly can, so you can like get hands-on experience with technology and working under pressure. Also, if you do things right, you can get exposure from maybe C-level parties and do things right. And the other thing that I think it's important is to help develop others, like develop other people, help other people grow, right? So, for example, um, how do I think helping developing others is important, or what things you can do? Try to provide trainings, and with that, it doesn't mean you need to be a super senior specialist in X or Y technology. The first thing I provided training to my peers. I was 2 years into the job, and I had to do a Microsoft training. I spent like 5 nights reading the books, and I gave the training to a couple of my colleagues that were trainees. And those guys, up to this day, they still practice the things they learn with me, right? And they value it so much, and I keep in touch with all of them. Um, Another thing is, don't expect others to know stuff. I mean, don't expect others to know the X or Y or Z of any technology. And the same things goes the other way. Don't expect that others don't know something. Maybe they know and they surprise you. Also, one thing that I at some point forgot, and it's important to keep into consideration, is remember when you started, right? When you started in IT or in a company, somebody was right next to you explaining you, okay, you need to click here and here. This is like that, and with lots of patience. So remember when you started, and try to be kind, like taking me to the last point, try to be kind to your other colleagues and peers, because if they grow, you will grow too. And this is a reflection I always say to people is What your colleagues say about you is a reflection of how good you are as a professional and also as a person, because we're not only professionals, we're also people. Uh, okay, so continuing a little bit, let me check how we're doing with time. Uh, okay, we have 5 minutes. Networking is important. I mean, that can help you land better jobs, better opportunities. Maybe, I don't know, speak at Uptime conference. I don't know. So the thing is, one thing it helped me a lot with networking is to be active on LinkedIn and Twitter. That's super important. Twitter is not just for political stuff and memes. It's also for networking in technology. Attend as many events as possible. I know last year with the pandemic, for me it was super easy. I mean, I was living in Argentina. I had the ability to attend to VMworld. This year, the same thing. Um, Participate in the community of your choice, and it has also to do with the previous things. Personally, I participate in Be More Technology Network, but there are lots of communities. It doesn't have to be a forum. It can be whatever community you like. I used to participate in some community that installs free software in computers and gives trainings in open source software. So this is super important to participate in any communities. And to build a personal brand, right? I don't mean like Christian Dior. I mean like how you present to others in the internet or in person, right? But this part is more focused on social media. For example, I like to have the same social media handle on all my accounts, and to have a good profile picture. And with this, I don't mean it has to be professional, like taken by a professional photographer, but it has to be according to what you try to describe, right? If you try to be a professional, don't show me a picture wearing a football T-shirt and drinking a beer. That's the point. Also, this is just a personal opinion. Feel free not to do it, but don't engage in political discussions in LinkedIn, also on Twitter, maybe. The world is really divided, and I don't think dividing it anymore will help. And the last part is start a YouTube channel or a podcast or a blog. Of course, if you have the spare time, because blogging or creating content regularly, it's super difficult. It's super difficult. It takes a lot of commitment and time. I try to do both of a YouTube channel and a blog, and it takes lots of time and commitment. And the well-being, and this is like the last part of here. Um, Try to have some off-screen activity, whether it is building Legos, playing guitar, going for a walk, going to the gym, or whatever thing, something that keeps you off the screen for a couple hours a week, so you can disconnect your head from the work. Also, try to exercise as much as you can, at least 3 times a week, because we're sitting on a chair lots of hours a week, and it's not good for our health. And the last thing is to invest in a good PC setup since the pandemic started. And the advice I always like to give for people is the mechanic or the carpenter don't use cheap tools. Our tools are the keyboard, the mouse, and a good chair, right? And a good monitor. So we need to invest in a good PC setup if possible. Here you have a picture of mine here in the Abu Dhabi desert. So, well, that's it. I don't know if you have any questions. I think Kevin said Twitter is also a great way to put yourself out there if you're a little shy. One thing I was forgetting is if you are not comfortable, or maybe you think you don't know enough on to start a blog or to comment on the communities, just add anything you can add. Just add a topic. I mean, if you work in an issue, just start. I did this and that. Maybe for someone that knows a lot, it's obvious, but for someone that doesn't know a lot, it's like really helpful, right? So, well, I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed the session. Feel free to engage with me in social media. Bye.